My name is Ubah. I like to travel, and welcome to my podcast, Ubah Everywhere. I lived in Europe from January until mid-July, so around exactly 6 months. And in that time, I was fortunate enough to travel to 9 countries, and I don't even know how many cities, and it's been an eye-opening experience to say the least. I found that I've grown a lot as a person, as an individual, and also it was just so much fucking fun, honestly, to be young and just traveling and seeing parts of the world. I remember going, my first solo travel that I did in Europe was when I went to Milan, and that was in February. So after around about a month that I had been living in Europe, and I literally, the reason why I even wanted to go in the first place is I just remember one day in my room just scrolling through Instagram, and I saw a blogger that I really liked post this photo of herself in front of the Duomo in Milano. And I just thought that was so sick. I just checked Ryanair immediately, and 3 days later, I was in Milan. And the thing that I really want to emphasize when talking about, or the thing that I want to emphasize about myself and about who I felt that I was whilst I was in Europe was that of a person who was carefree, just didn't really care, and just wanted to really be happy and take risks. So for me, when I was in Europe, nobody knew me. Like, I was just Ubah. I was just Ubah. Like, I wasn't Ubah from Toronto that, hangs out at Ryerson or works at this office or, oh yeah, this girl that I've seen at OVO Fest or whatever. Like, I was just Ubah. Who are you? Ubah the Canadian. Like, that's who I was. And it was awesome because I just took so many risks. I was just authentically myself. And I find that that's how I want to be moving forward. It was a month after I'd arrived, and so I was already planning like weekend trips because it's really cheap to travel around Europe. If you go on Ryanair, EasyJet, any of those low budget airlines, it's quite easy to travel. And this is like when it wasn't peak season, so flights were really affordable, like hostels and everything was quite affordable. So I was just always on Ryanair looking at places, and that day I decided to check the price to go to Milano, and it was, I think, about 27 euros round trip, which is $50. And the thing about me, and in that moment, I'm like, wow, it's more expensive for me to go 2 hours to, let's say, Kitchener via Go Transit than go to another country. So immediately I looked at the prices and I booked my flight. Like, I was just like, fuck it. That's been my mentality in Europe, is just to say, like, fuck it. Like, let's just do it. And so I booked my flight, and I was really, really nervous. Like, fam, I just remember like thinking, wow, like I'm gonna go. Like I went on a hostel world, and this is the first time I ever booked a hostel or ever stayed at a hostel when I had arrived in Milan. So I'm looking, and I decided to book a place called Queen Hostel. And the thing about hostels that if you start traveling throughout Europe or Asia, that you're gonna find is that it'll show you the types of hostels that you're going to stay in. So if you want to do a party hostel, if you want to do a more relaxed one, it's really cool because there's so many people who travel solo, so you meet friends. And even if you're in a big group, it's really affordable and just a good way to talk to people from around the world. Like, you'll be surprised on who you'll meet in these hostels and in these accommodations. So I booked Queen Hostel. I booked my flight. And yeah, 3 days later, I was on a flight. It was early in the morning. I believe it was Luton Airport that I went to. And like the thing about England or London is that whenever you go to take flights, everything is so separated. Like, you have to travel like an hour and a half to get to the airport. And even in doing so, it's a bit expensive. Like, it's almost the same flight, same price as a flight to train to fucking Luton or to train to what are the other ones, like Gatwick and things like that. So yeah, it ends up adding up, but like it's really, really affordable when you think about it in conjunction to traveling through North America, like fam. So it's the day of, like, or the night before, and like I can't sleep. I'm just so itched. Like I'm so itched to go. I'm packing my luggage, my little carry-on, because the strict baggage requirements on these flights. And so I packed my stuff. Like I didn't have any of those like little like travel things. So in the morning, I'll give you a heads up. My stuff got thrown out and I had to rebuy stuff. It was annoying, but it's fine. Like I learned for all the other flights in the future. So I'm packing the night before, and like, if you seen the smile on my face, like I was just so, man, so excited, and like to just be that bitch, like just be on my own, like travel, see the world. I get to Milano, and the first immediate thing is the culture shock, because everything's in Italian. Except for in the airport, you'll see English and Italian. But once you leave, I remember taking the tram to get to my hostel. And so everything's in Italian. And I was like, whoa, oh, wow. The first place I've been to where I haven't seen, language in, I guess, the native tongue versus and English. I only ever saw Italian. And so I thought that was really nice. Like I kind of liked the fact that I felt that I was in another country. And the thing that if you travel around Europe, a lot of places kind of seem the same. Like if you go to Antwerp, or if you go to Brussels, if you go to Paris, it has a similar feel in the sense that you don't feel like you're in another country. Whereas when you go to Italy, you instantly feel this sense that you are in Italy, you are in another country, and everything feels different. I realized the first thing that was going to be my best friend throughout my solo travel, or just travels in general, was, wait for it, Google Maps. And I just Google Maps everything, and even an app called City Mapper. A lot of big cities have City Mapper, and it's easy for you to navigate and find the best routes for public transit, trains, and cabs, Ubers, things like that. It's really awesome. And so I get to Queen Hostel. I'm still geeked, There's this little like cafe. And so I grab a little sandwich. I'm eating my little sandwich. I'm walking up the steps to this hostel. I get lost, This is a reoccurring theme. If you are solo traveling, you will get lost. And that's all right. So I got lost a little bit. I finally get there. I settled down. The initial response was that, oh, okay, this is calm. Like, this is cool. Like, it seems kind of like a lounge. It seems kind of like, the chill out area and artscape, if anyone's ever been there. It was really clean. Like, I found that I had no problems with the lobby main area of the hostel. So you check in typically upon arrival, you pay either cash or credit. I prefer to pay cash whenever I go to these places. And it was about, I don't even know. I was there for 3 nights, and I spent, let's say, 50 euros. Not even. It was really cheap. And I go up to my room, and bunk beds. Ooh, I see bunk beds. I'm like, oh shit, summer camp that I never went to, as a youth. So there's about 4 people in my room. No, 6 people in my room. 6 bunk beds. I only ever saw one girl in that room at a time. And so I lay my stuff down, and I literally just change my outfit real quick, and I start exploring. Like instantly, I just start walking around the neighborhood. The people at the hostel gave me tips on places to go, so I just go for a nice walk. Like, first of all, the weather was beautiful when I got there. I had a light coat on and, a pair of pants, and it was beautiful. The sun was shining, I had my nice sunglasses on. Good morning, everybody. So I'm on a nice little walk around town, and I have like the best espresso I've ever had in my life in Italy. And yeah, it's a blessed day. I had my headphones. I didn't bring my AirPods. I had my headphones, and I was just listening to music, walking around. And so I don't know, as I was walking, as I was going to find different places to eat, I already had made a list of places that I wanted to see whilst I was there. So I had a couple of restaurants that I knew I wanted to visit. I had a couple of sites like the Duomo, and some other museums and things like that I wanted to check out whilst I was there. But the first day that I got there, I just literally explored, and I walked, and I saw Milan. Like, I just saw it from a local perspective. I didn't take any buses. I literally just by foot walked. And I think that day I probably walked a total of like 20K. and I got coffee. I was just listening to music. I posted on my Instagram story, uh, just me like strolling and just reflecting. One thing that I will say is when you are solo traveling or just traveling in a new unfamiliar places, you will do so much reflection. And for me, there was a language barrier. There people didn't really talk to me, the locals. And so the first day I was literally just on my own. Like I wasn't really talking to anybody and I was totally fine in doing so. Like I was fine just seeing the city, trying good food. And I will say, out of any of the Italian cities that I've been to Florence, Venice, I've been to Rome, I've been to Cinque Terre, I've been to Genova, I've been to bare places in Italy, which is dope. Milan had my favorite food. Like I had the best food in Milan. Not to say that that's where you find the best food. I just personally, every meal I had was a 10 out of 10. I was not disappointed. And yeah, so the first day was done. I ended up talking to some of the guys that run the hostel, like guys and girls that run the hostel. And they were just like telling me stories. A lot of people, to my knowledge, to my surprise, actually, I should say, were from Brazil. And they were telling me that there is this agreement if you are Brazilian, because there's some sort of like lineage connection to Brazilians and Italians, you could come there and get a visa and you could work there really quite easily and you could learn Italian. And so it was so awesome to just see so many people from around the world just in one hostel trying to, explore. And a lot of them are all like under the age of, let's say, 28, 29. And so everybody was young, trying to travel, trying to see the world, trying to expand on who they are as people and just get that kind of understanding of new places and form their identity a little bit more. I sat down with Rodriguez Bahizi to discuss his point of view on solo traveling and for him to share some of his stories while being abroad.
My first solo travel was when I was 16. I decided to go visit some family in Belgium, and none of my other brothers wanted to go. None of my sisters wanted to go, and they just, sparked like, "Why don't you come by yourself?" And I was like, "Yeah, why don't I?" And I think that was my first solo trip, and ever since then, I've just been comfortable traveling by myself.
Okay,
Yeah.
so where's a place that you've been where you properly went by yourself? You weren't planning on meeting anybody there, or you didn't have family. Was there any place that you've gone just on your
Prague,
ones? Prague.
Prague.
Okay.
That's in Czech Republic. For anybody that doesn't know, it's a very beautiful place. It's known for having like some of the best beers, some of the best monuments and like architecture for the city. It's just a dope place in general. It was a little weird, the culture there, and they were definitely surprised. I don't think there's a lot of multiculturalism there.
Okay.
So it was definitely a surprise for those people, for me, for how shocked they were going to be. But it was a good experience overall.
Okay. And then what did you get up to when you were there? Like, what's the first thing that you do when you go somewhere by yourself?
Well, I already had some stuff set up. That was the whole reason I even wanted to go on the trip. I had some MC gigs and I had a performance and I had some studio sessions lined up. So the first thing I did was get in contact with the booking agent there. We went out for some beers. He showed me the city. Overall, great place. The party scene there is a little different. Uh, they had this one place they had me MC at. It was 5 floors. Top floor was playing a whole different set of music, a whole different vibe.
Yeah.
Second floor, it was, I guess, like a whole hip hop R&B type of feel. And then I think on the third floor they had their type of music. On the fourth floor, it was kind of more laid back dancing. And then on the fifth floor they had an oxygen bar. Now this is the first time I've ever seen an oxygen bar in my life. It was like, okay, once you've been through all these floors, you got to get to the fifth to get out. And then there's this oxygen bar there. Sorry. And basically it's so you don't have to be hungover the next day. So it's basically what you see that drops down from like the airplane, one of those masks. You put it on and it's all these different flavors of oxygen. It's just air and you could intake like mint or like coffee flavor. It's really weird, I know. But you take some in and right after For the next hour, you feel like you're superhuman. There's so much oxygen going to your brain. You feel good. The next day you wake up, you feel better. It's very different.
Kind of like at casinos when they pump the air with oxygen to get you all hyped and excited to start spending your money.
Yeah, exactly.
As a black man in Europe or in any of these places, is it a different experience to go around? Because I know for myself, I was really hesitant to do solo traveling because I was in Europe and I was black and I felt that I would be a target or I wouldn't be safe. Do you find that to be the case for you?
Not in Europe particularly, just because there's so much black people in Europe and in France. But I think I just never have that fear in general. I was really surprised when I got to Prague. In Prague, there was no black people. Like, people would stop and they'd stare, but not in a menacing way or not even offended. They were just like mesmerized by like black people.
Yeah.
And I remember some of them come and be like, you know, Little Wayne, or are you a football player, NBA? Like, that's the only time they see black people is on TV. So they're definitely more intrigued. I think that's why they flew me out there for that gig, is because they just had like a different flavor.
Yeah.
And they really enjoyed that. And I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
For me, I really got addicted to solo traveling because, like,
Addicted.
yeah.
Okay.
And, like,
Talk about that.
I want to do more solo traveling because I feel like you're on your own schedule, you're on your own itinerary,
Yes, sir.
and then you end up meeting like cool people
Yes, sir.
that you wouldn't end up meeting if you're just with your homies. You know what I'm
that's true.
saying?
Yeah.
So, like, even like I met like random people. Like, I was out here a while in low key,
Yeah,
just
and-
going out, and so yeah.
And I would say, like, don't be scared. Like, if you plan a trip with your friends, like everybody does, and then last minute one friend's like, oh no, like, you know, I got this problem. I got to cancel my ticket. This, that, and the third. Don't ever feel pressure that you have to cancel a ticket. If you already have everything planned out, go, live your life.
Yep.
Live your best life. And especially if you already planned in advance and you got everybody to give their down deposit and boom, somebody bails. It's like, sorry, like, you know what I mean? Like, the trip is still happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And funny enough, I was supposed to go to Prague, and I
Jeez.
was in the hospital though, and then I ended up missing my trip, and I was supposed to go with like another girl, and she almost canceled her trip because she didn't want to go on her own.
Wow. What
Even
did you
though,
tell her?
like, it was last minute. Like, we booked the trip like maybe 4 or 5 days in advance. Like 3 days later, like, boom, I'm in the hospital, and so I had to miss the trip. Like, I didn't get my money back. I lost my money. But even though she knew people that were there, she still didn't want to go and like fly alone and like spend some time on her own in that place,
Yeah.
even though our stuff was already paid for and she would have just lost her money.
Wow. A lot of people I find even here in Toronto, they're like stuck in a comfort zone. So that means like they're born in Pickering. They grew up in Scarborough. The furthest they ever been is Mississauga. Like, I didn't heard that so many times, and it's like there's so much of the world that you can explore. And I feel like a lot of people wait for the invite, but I'd say like just jump out, explore by yourself. If there's a place you always wanted to be, you don't have to go there with bae or best friend. You could just go by yourself. It's the best investment.
I feel like for me personally, the drawback to solo traveling at first is just being bored or feeling like I didn't have things to do or people to hang out with. And so I was just nervous going and like...
What about you? What do you do when you're solo traveling? Like, do you have an itinerary?
Not
Are
really.
you like planning to go to see a monument or like maybe like a place you've always like looked up on the internet? Like, how do you solo travel?
It's like a mix. So like I'll have places that I want to visit, like any person, but I'm weary of making an itinerary like morning to night. I mean, like at 10 I'm gonna do this, at 11 I'm gonna do this. Like I can't plan my stuff out like that because you never know who you're gonna meet.
If you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
I don't believe that.
Yeah.
So fair enough. So like
you gotta plan for the worst. If you solo traveling, like I have a friend I used to work with, and she planned a trip to Germany, and she gets to Germany and she's like, oh my God, it's so gorgeous here, and she's solo traveling.
Yeah.
Now mind you, this is a cultured woman, and she's ethnic, and she asks this couple to take a picture of her in front of like a cathedral. And she sets her bags down. She takes a picture. She looks back, and her bag is gone. And She's like, oh my God, where's my bag? And she starts looking for these two strangers in Germany. She finds them. Okay? And she's like, hey, you guys took my picture earlier. They're like, oh, yes. Do you want another one? She's like, no, I know you guys took my bag. It has all my money in there. I need my money back. And they're like, no, ma'am, I think maybe you lost it. And she's like, no, I know you guys have it. I'm going to call the police. And they're like, okay, listen, we can give you half of your money back. Imagine bargaining for half your money. That's mod.
Wow.
It's mod. You know? Like, okay. And she finally, like, she took the bargain. She took half her money back.
That's fucking crazy.
And they left, yeah. Oh, big tip. When you solo travel, don't keep all your money on you.
Hell no.
Ever. I had an accident in the Dominican. My ATV flipped over. My homie was driving. ATV flips over. Boom, bang my head. First time in my life I'm seeing stars. I can't move. I'm on the floor. Like, you know, like when your legs are asleep or like, you know. So like I'm knocked out, but like I can still see. I seen village people coming out because we're driving through villages.
Yeah.
I don't mean to say village people, but the people in Dominican, they start coming, and I think I had like $100 on me and $1 because everybody loves tips in the Dominican.
Yeah.
So I was just handing out $1 to little kids, families, you know. And boom, we have our accident. I'm seeing stars. I'm knocked out. These people come, and I'm like, oh, thank God. They're coming to help me. Somebody's seen us crash.
Hey.
Now, we're in a big group. We're like, at least 10 of us went ATV riding.
10 mans deep.
Yeah, they're all in front of us. We're the last ones back. Bada bing, bada boom. Hit my head, seeing stars. These people come. And first they ask, are you okay? I said no. Right away, they go for my pockets. Like, they took the money out of my pockets. They took my shoes off my feet. I had a Vince Carter jersey on. They tried to take that. And I'm, like, frozen. Like, I'm barely recovering. I look over to see my homie, and he's just staring me down, and, like, he's getting robbed, too. And I was like, oh, okay, that's what's going on right now. And finally, the people on our trip turned back. They realized we got in an accident.
Wow.
They scattered away. I had, like, half my jersey on, no shoes, empty pockets, no phone. So, guys, don't bring everything you got on you on your trip.
Have you ever stayed in a hostel? Because most of my travels, like the cheapest, most like efficient way to do solo traveling is staying in hostels, right?
Yeah.
So my initial thought was, yo, if I bring money with me, someone's going to thief it. Like, that's like my fear. But
yeah, and then you can't have that fear.
Yeah, but it's kind of a reality. Like, you have to like have like locks on your luggages and like locks when you go to those places. Like, if you don't have that, people will like actually, they could potentially take your things because like you're in a room with, let's say, it could be 6 to 10 people to even more, depending on the room that you book.
Wow, I've never stayed in a hostel, so this is like new information to me. I didn't know.
It's like, yeah, it's a refugee camp, but bougier.
Dude, chill. Chill. Oh, refugee camp. I hadn't stayed in one of those when I was younger. You got people bleeding beside you. You like, shut up, I'm trying to sleep. It's crazy.
I mean, the sense that I just remember one time I was in this room and there was like 12 people.
Oh.
No AC, it's hot.
Oh.
Bunk bed style.
Oh.
And so what I did is, because I didn't have a lock, like windows? I forgot my lock. There was windows only at the edge. So like everybody like who isn't beside the window. So 4 people got the window. The rest of us were in like.
Jeez. This is a
in
jail
the shit.
cell.
Yeah, low-key a jail cell.
Jeez.
But you're never there long enough. Like, you're there to pass out when you've been drinking and going out and stuff. So you don't care about your hostel. Like, you just rather stay there.
Do you leave your luggage when you're at a hostel?
Yeah, you leave your luggage. Like, how else are you supposed to like?
I thought you just out here like carrying your luggage all around the
hell
city,
no.
like a gypsy, something like that.
Are you mod?
No, are you mod?
I would never do that. But you leave your stuff. But if you don't have a lock, like you have to bring your own lock, they charge you like $5 or €5 or whatever to get a lock. And it's like a shitty lock.
That's not bad.
So I don't trust it. Yeah, it's fine. But so what I did is, because I forgot my lock one time and I didn't want to pay for a lock, I had my little like pouch, and when I would sleep, I like had it under my pillow.
Wow.
And like I kept my money under my pillow. I was ready.
Nobody's snatching nothing under your
Nobody's
head.
snatching nothing.
No grass grows under your feet.
Yeah, and then I'd also like have money kind of divided around me. So it was like I'd have something in my bag. I'd have something like in a money pouch.
Okay, that's too many places. What if you forget?
I wouldn't forget. Like 2 places.
Okay.
And like that was only that one trip, but other times I'd keep some of it in my luggage locked.
Yeah.
And then I keep some of it like in my like pocket or whatever. Not my pocket, but like inside of my jacket where no one can get it.
Yeah.
And then a purse. So I have like different places. So if, let's say, someone tried to like rob me or like I don't know,
They're
I
only
forgot
getting
something.
one stash.
You're only getting one stash.
Yeah.
So I'm not displaced the whole day because that's a fear, like being stuck without any money, no cash.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Like somebody like just teeped the stuff out of your pocket, took your shoes, the shoes off your feet. They take
Yeah.
your socks?
I didn't have socks. I was going ATV riding, you know what I mean? So I was ready. I was already prepared to get those shoes dirty and like throw them away. So if it went somewhere, you know what I mean, helpful, then, you know, you could hide in shoes.
Helping the youth?
Helping the youth.
Do you think that it's safe for women to travel by themselves? I want to know your opinion. What do you actually think?
In all honesty, we lived in a fucked up world right now. I'm just thinking about it from my sister's point of view. Would I send my sister abroad to travel by herself? I feel like there's a certain age of maturity, and you need maturity to travel on your own, like to know the places to go, who to befriend, and who to let into your space while you're traveling. Because if I feel like she's not ready to, let's say, go out into Europe just like you did, I feel like any man can approach her and be like, hey, like, there's this other party going down the street, or have this drink, we got you this, then I don't think she's like ready. You got to be really aware of your surroundings, you know? Yeah. Not just as a woman, but even men. Men get drugged all the time too. You hear Cardi B talk about it. Like, I used to drug men in Vegas and steal Rolexes off them. So we can't be talking about this like it's it's only a fragile world for women. No, it's a fragile world in general.
Someone hit me up on Instagram, like a promoter.
Oh.
Right? And so I was like, where was I? I was in...
How did this promoter know you? How did he follow you?
I tagged a location. I tagged a location. I was in Italy. I was in Milan. I tagged a location, and then they're like, oh yeah, like come. This guy was legit. Like I saw his page and people that post him, so it was legit. I guess a club promoter.
Okay.
But I didn't go because I was actually like scared because I tried to invite people that were at my hostel to go out because I could get them in and whatever, and they didn't want to come. And that was the one time I kind of regret just not going.
By yourself?
By myself, just out of fear.
I feel like you still made the right decision.
I know I made the right decision,
you didn't meet up with a stranger?
No, I wasn't going to meet up with him by himself. Like, it would be a club environment.
You know what I mean? But like, when somebody invites you out, you expect them to, you know, like show you the place, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Accommodate to you.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. Like, even when I invite some friends to the city, it's like, hey, like, you really need to come to Toronto.
Yeah.
I only make those invitations like if I'm ready to, what's that word?
Host them?
I'm ready to host for that person. Exactly. Like if they can stay at my place, if I can show them around the city, you know what I mean? Yeah.
That's good. But either way, like I didn't go. I'm happy with my decision. But I went out by myself other times. Like not like somebody invited me. Like I just went. And I met people. Like I just went. So there's a couple of occasions.
Did you Google any of these places, or you just like threw yourself upon the road? She belonged to the street.
A mix of that. Like in London a lot, like I was more comfortable because I was like that was my like home base. Yeah. Like I'd go out, like I went out a couple of times to like Shoreditch by myself.
Okay.
Like I went clubbing and I made friends. Like every time I went out in the washroom, I would make friends with these shorties and say, oh, I just came on my own. They would hear my accent and be like, yo, chill with us.
Wow.
Facts. Every single time. Wow. I never not met friends in the first like 20 minutes. Boom, had a squad for the night.
Wow. You know what? I feel like women can do that a lot more. They can just
make friends.
Get ready, get gorgeous, go out. You know what I mean? Get free entry, get free drinks, make friends, have a great night. Compared to like men, I feel like men are like more they're more in a pack. Like if they're gonna go out, they're gonna go with friends or like with a sidekick. Rarely do you see men go out by themselves unless it's like a bar.
Yeah.
Or it's desperate hours.
So that is the end of the first episode of Ubah Everywhere. I want to thank my guest again, Rodriguez, for coming on to my show and discussing his point of view on solo traveling and just some funny stories that he had to share. I will catch you in the next destination.